2024, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV, as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa.
It's another beautiful evening. We thank the Almighty God who has enabled us to go through the entire day up to this particular point in time. We welcome you to Church of Uganda Family TV, and the program you're watching right now is Ask the CEO. This is a program that is powered by Young and Flourishing Foundation, and this program is aimed at inspiring you to be the next vision or the next version of yourself. So each time we bring here people and their stories, the main aim is to make sure that you become the better person of yourself, because you're the good side of yourself, but you can be the best version. And this is the reason we have Ask the CEO. We bring here prominent people who share with us their stories, and out of these stories, we get our inspiration. So this is Church of Uganda Family TV. This is a family TV. We are a family, and that is why we have this program, an educative program that you don't need to miss every Thursday at exactly 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And remember, Church of Uganda Family TV is now on DSTV, that is channel 375. Therefore, no more queries, no more missing any program. DSTV channel 375, and of course the other platforms, Star Times 282 and GoTV 8 to 9, and then Star Free to Air, but also the Family TV app. Yes, we are blessed this evening to have another interesting guest. He's Mr. Namale Lawrence. He's the CEO and founder of Life Signatures, and we are delighted this evening to enter into your space to share with us your inspiration. And to make it clear, he is a coach, he is a mentor, but most of all, he is an author. Now, we have a resourceful person, and just sit where you are, don't go anywhere, because I believe your life is not going to be the same again. Mr. Namale.
Yes, sir.
We are excited to have you today on Ask the CEO.
I'm happy to be here today.
Wow, it's a pleasure.
Thank
Each time we host people like you who are a source of inspiration to very many young people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, kindly greet our viewers, and then we shall derive into our discussion today.
Well, whatever place it is that you're switched on to Family TV, welcome to the show, and be happy to receive as much nuggets and as much information as you would like, and be inspired and motivated to be the very best version of yourself.
Amen, amen, amen. And this evening, we want to help someone discover, own, but also monitor their purpose. But we can only achieve this out of what you're going to share with us.
Yes, sir.
And we want to dig deep into your story. We want to get to where Mr. Namale's life begins from.
Yeah. So Lawrence was born in a place called Eldoret in Kenya some years back, very many years back, in 1979. And my life has been topsy-turvy, up and down. However, when I realized at some point in time that I had a gift, it was as late, or let me say it was as early as primary 8. Now this gift was a gift of writing.
I think we get back to the family in which you grew up from, and all, because that is very important.
Yeah.
Especially as we're building the theme of today, which is self-discovery.
Yeah. My family, my mom and my dad were working in the education sector back in Kenya. And at some point in time, my father left the education sector and he went into the sugar belt sector.
Why?
As a manager, because he was looking for more money.
Okay.
But then few years later, maybe not more than 2 years later, he lost his job.
In the sugarcane sector?
Yes. Which meant that the breadwinning was left to my primary school mom, my primary school teacher mom, who took care of 5 boys, all our education, from class 1 all the way actually to university. Some of us university, some of us did not go to university. So that's the kind of background that I grew up in. Grew up looking at my mom who was struggling. Grew up in the village, went to the village after staying in the city for quite a while, and that one really affected me because I was not used to living in the village. But at some point in time that became like a fate. And now the problem with living in the village is that sometimes you tend to grow up and morph into the environment that you're being brought up in. If you're brought up in an environment where people do not aspire, you don't aspire yourself, unless there's something inside of you that stands out. Sure. So the difference with my mom, even as her colleagues or her friends and the environment around there, were not keen to send their children to further studies, high school and university. She was, of course, coming from the education sector, she really wanted to do that. And so she spent quite a bit trying to take us, four of us. One of us passed away, but 4 of us, all the way to the university. And 3 of those guys, 3 of the boys, went all the way to the university, minus 1. Yours truly. Yeah.
So growing up, because you talked about inspiration, and you said if you're not inspired, then you'll not have any reason to.
Yeah.
So where do you get your source of inspiration, even as you grow up and reaching a time when you're in primary 8 where you discover your gift of writing?
It comes from different sources. Sometimes it's beautiful sources, and sometimes it's critical situations like a crisis or a setback. For me, it was both of them, because I discovered when I was in class 7 actually that I was able to write. I was about less than 10 years. I mean, I was 10, I think, or 11. I discovered that I could write, in that if the teacher came to class and said, creative writing is what you're going to do today, and I'm going to mark your work, every kid in that class knew that number 2 is what they're going to fight for, because number 1 belongs to Lawrence. I was that good. But the problem is that I let that gift go. Because traditionally, or status quo, we are supposed to go through the steps of schooling. You know, you're supposed to go to high school, then you go to high school, you finish high school, you take the courses that are there that are not necessarily being offered in terms of looking at your gifts and looking at your talent. That's why my writing was put on the back burner. I didn't qualify to go to university. I missed university by 2 points or something like that. And that ushered my life into some kind of a crisis. Because inside of me, I knew that I am much better than this in life. I'm much better than what I'm experiencing in life.
In other words, it wasn't the points you've obtained from the exams that could define you.
No. It was a knowledge inside of me that there's just something. You speak to people, you do life with people, and you feel like there is something much more you can offer this world. And that thing still eats me up even up to today. I am sometimes one of my worst critics. I think 2 days or 1 day ago, I was talking to my wife and I was telling her that there's got to be much more that I can be able to do. That's my motivation. And I do believe, to be honest with you, that every human being has that innate voice that speaks to them and tells them that, look around, you can do better. You can achieve more. You can reach out for more. You are created for more. There's more potential inside of you. And we can either listen to that voice or we can silence it by doing very many activities, and activities that don't make really sense.
And sometimes it is the circumstances that surround us that silence this voice.
Yes. Sometimes we are so bogged down with doing life. We have to pay bills. We have to send kids to school. I mean, we are so bogged down with life that we forget to focus on what really matters, which in my belief, I think what really matters is our purpose. Because I don't think that we were sent here on earth to come and create some form of paying bills, and then we do that for 65 years. We retire at 65 and wait to die thereafter. And if we approach our lives from that angle, we tend to be mediocre, we tend to be average, we tend to do just the bare minimum. But then I do believe that inside of us there is much, much more that is needed. All of us, there's much, much more that is needed. And the evidence is all around us.
So we get back to the other moment when you've missed going to the university with only 2 points and you feel this is not what defines you. This is not, in other words, this world was unfair.
Yeah.
And whoever was grading was unfair because they didn't look at you. So take us through that experience and what happens? What does it produce in you?
So first of all, the way the world operates, we need to learn the way the world operates, and then we need to align ourselves to that way. The way the world operates is in such a way that you do need a degree to succeed.
Exactly.
Everywhere you go. It's not just in Africa, it's all over the world. Of course, right now, even as we're talking about the purpose economy, it's starting to change. Yes. But as I was growing up, that was how the world was operating. If you don't have a degree, it doesn't matter whether you missed it by one mark or 2 marks. You are considered a fool, you're considered a failure, you're considered like you're not going to make it in life. But for me, I thought that I cannot stop there. And so I started looking for some courses that I can be able to take, and I got a course called Management Information Systems. But one of the things that I discovered in life is that whenever you miss an opportunity, that's another question, that's another way to answer your question earlier. Whenever you miss an opportunity, it gives some fire inside of you to do much more whenever any sniff of a chance comes your way. And that's what happened to me. When I got this course, Management Information Systems, I dove into it like, this is my salvation. This is all I have in life. And so I gave all my strength. I normally tell people I gave more than 200% into it. Because some people took that course as a by the way, waiting to go to university. For me, it was the whole thing. This is me, this is my course, this is my life. Basically, I approached it as if my life depended on it, and it did, actually. And the learning point there is this. Sometimes, anything that you have in your hand, it is a seed that you can be able to use to open doors that you couldn't have opened earlier on with whatever systems that you are trying to use. And so I am here. I can trace my being here in this country, having worked in Kenya, having worked in Uganda, having worked in Ghana, interviewing over 1,000 people and discipling very many people, raising up very many young people and teaching them and showing them how to be productive in life. I can gather that stuff, and I can tell you that it has come from the moment I made a decision that whatever I have in my hand, I am going to maximize it. That is the thing that is keeping me going, actually. That whatever I am given, if I'm given an opportunity to be on family TV, for example, I serve royally. I prepare royally. I don't just show up. I don't take it for granted. So I give everything that life has given me. And I think that's one of the things that all of us can be able to use.
Yeah.
If you don't have a degree, if you don't have a diploma, if you don't have a certificate, there must be something around you that you can be able to latch on, and you can be able to pick, and you can be able to maximize it. That's been my motto all along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So after taking up this, they've given it to you, and people look at it as a by the way, and you determined to produce your best. You've said you are determined to produce 200% out of it.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the masses' complaints, the masses' comments.
Yeah.
So how did you maneuver through?
So I got my diploma, actually. I got my higher diploma in management information systems. And then the problem was that there were no jobs, so to speak, at that moment in time. Or so I thought. And another problem is that I was doing that course in Nairobi, and my stay in Nairobi was hinged upon doing that particular course. So having no place to stay, having no money to pay for hostels and so on, the only option I had was to retreat to the village. And I remember that day being in the bus station, cursing the day that I was going home, wishing that that day will not be there, praying, trying to pray that a miracle happens that I should not go home. But that was the only opportunity I had. And I found myself in the village. And then again in the village, I tried to maneuver and try to hold myself back, putting on city cloth and not wanting to get involved in the village because it will cement my being there forever. But then at one moment in time, I wrote a poem down and I said, given to you, Lawrence, is this day. Do the best you can be able to do with this day, and tomorrow's sorrows let rest. Put off my city clothes, got involved in life in the village, decided that I'm going to be the best villager this world has ever seen. Got involved in leadership at the local church there and served massively. Today, if you go back, it is, I think, 15 years, nearly 20 years. If you go back, they still remember Lawrence, how he served. Still using my mantra that whatever you have in your hand, use the best ability. I mean, give the best effort that you can be able to give. And that's what I did. But between the period that I decided to be the best villager, it just took me less than 2 months for a phone call to come that there is an opportunity for scholarships to the Nordic countries, and you're needed in Nairobi. And that's how I got out of the village to go to Nairobi. And I attended that interview, but I failed. I failed the interview. Okay, I didn't fail the interview. It's just that there were very many people for that opportunity, and I was one of those that were not successful to go through. And so at that moment in time, I was staying with a family friend, and it so happened that a friend that I went to the college with, to the Management Information Systems course with, remembered me, remembered how crazy I was with books, remember how massive I was in giving myself over to studying. And he used to think I'm a genius. And so he was working, it turned out that he was working in an organization that was IT related, as an IT consultant, and a vacancy came up. In that vacancy, he was asked to recommend someone. He is not even a friend, he's just a coursemate. He thought about me. Of all the people he could have thought of, he thought about me. Because I had a mark, I left an indelible mark in his life that I am a serious person. And so he called me. I never even attended an interview. He called me, he vouched for me, and I got that particular job. And then I started working as an IT consultant. And I worked there for a while, and I got fed up. I got fed up because I was doing mundane things. Still that voice inside of me that tells you this is much better, there's something better you can be able to do with your life.
You're being limited
You're being limited here. You've done everything there is to do here. Now what you're doing is just repeating the same thing year in, year out. You're not growing, you're not maturing.
In other words, your creativity is not opened up.
Your potential is being limited here. I mean, there's nothing else, there's nothing new, there's no challenge here that you can be able to do. So being there, I became a very toxic person. And it was not even affecting, it was affecting my life in the negative way, because I knew I am not being my best. I am having a very pathetic attitude at work because there's no challenge. The pay is not even, and my heart was telling me, Lawrence, you're better in life than this. So I quit without,
just like that.
I just like that I left. But I thought that I had attended an interview, and that interview I thought I was going to get a job. It was promising. Again, I did not get the job. So I stayed out in the cold for...
Was it because of the very many competitors?
I don't know, because when they sent the results back, they told me, we were looking for 2 people, but you were the second. Sorry. The first person has already been employed. We're just looking for 1 person. So at least they told me that I was second, so it was a bit consoling. But that wasn't solving a problem. So I stayed out in the cold for a while, and then a friend of mine who was working for a new product in Kenya called M-Pesa, he called me. Actually, he was my mentor. He called me and he told me, Lawrence, there is this organization that Safaricom has hired to help us with this new product called M-Pesa. They are looking for a data analyst. Please go there and see what you can be able to serve them with. So I went there with my CV and so on, and I was given an interview. This interview, I was very carefree with it because I'd attended very many and I'd failed. And I was
so
like,
you were not even bothered whether I passed or
they
failed.
pass, They give me the job, they don't give me the job, it's okay, but I'm going to present. This interview when I attended, I did not try to put on a mask and try to impress and try to say the things that I don't have. If they ask me, do you know how to do this? I will tell them no. I wouldn't lie. But it turns out that they liked me, number one, and then number two, their boss or their project manager for the project they were working was my friend. So they thought they were doing my friend a favor. But I always have a mantra in life. At times, someone is going to open the door for you, but they are not responsible for what you do after you enter through the door. I turned that organization upside down, right side up actually, because I found that they didn't have computers, they didn't have very many things. People were leaving work at 12 p.m. In the evening, and they're coming back at 8 because systems were not set into place. And I went single-handedly to talk to the boss and told the boss that I've done IT, I can be able to set up this place and I can be able to computerize it and network it. That's exactly what we did, and my star started shining over there. And as my star started shining over there, the project was also increasing. It was also making sense in the world. In Kenya, 1 million people were using M-Pesa and so on. Then other organizations worldwide started coming to the country, try to find out how can we be able to use the same service. And long story short, Safaricom sent MTN to my boss and told them that these are the people who are helping us on the ground. You need a system, but you also need people. And these are the experts with people. And so the boss looks in the organization and tries to find out whom can I send to Uganda to partner with MTN so that they can be able to help MTN with the MTN mobile money. It ends up that she looks in the organization, and like I said earlier on, when your star is shining, they cannot put you down. And so the boss comes to me. That year was very interesting because beginning of the year, she was supposed to fire me because of office politics. But when this opportunity comes, she looks around the organization. There is no one who is capable enough like I was. No one that has promise like I had. And that's how I ended up in Uganda in 2008, December, for the very first time to be a manager, jumping like 54 scales up from where I was to be a manager in this country to help MTN mobile money to launch. So my job as a manager was to help them to recruit, to manage agents. And to do that, I had a team. I had a team of 40 people that I sent in every corner of this country. And I traveled in nearly every corner of this country to oversee the project. And it was successful because of that.
So each time we see MTN mobile money, it is a fruit of your commitment and determination.
Yes, it is a fruit of my work. If you look at the history of mobile money, MTN will tell you that we brought 2 consultants from Kenya, and one of those consultants is me. Another consultant is right now working in Nigeria, doing some of the same things in mobile money.
Was he also Kenyan?
He was also Kenyan.
Okay.
But when we came here, we recruited pure Ugandans. All of them were Ugandans. That the Ugandans are the ones actually who ran with this team, who ran with this project. And up to today, they still look back at those good old days and they see the differences that we made. Because when we were leading this team, we were not just leading a product, we were also building people. And actually, by the way, when I was in that job, that's when I discovered my purpose. My purpose was to work with people, to empower people, to equip people, to inspire hope and enrich people's lives worldwide. I discovered that purpose as I was guiding these young men and these young women. And that's when I formed my organization called Life Signatures.
As we get to Life Signatures, where do you drop your writing gift?
My writing gift, actually, it dropped in class 8.
Yes,
primary.
in class 8, but did you just give up on it just like that?
It was crowded out. It was crowded out by the chronological way of doing life in terms of education, because I had to go to high school. When you go to high school, there are courses that you're supposed to take. Nobody cares what your gift is, because in high school, you're supposed to do 13 subjects, Form 1, and then later on you select some few subjects and so on, depending on the career that you want. No one gives you career guidance. No one asks you. No one looks at your natural gifts and your natural talents. So those ones it was crowded out completely. But the heart kept telling me, every time I was an avid reader, every time I would read books, I kept telling myself that I can write a book.
Okay.
I only picked it up after coming to Uganda in 2010. That's when I picked up writing. Otherwise, from 1993 all the way, it was dropped. And that was a massive, massive mistake. Because I can tell you right now, about nearly more than 50% or maybe 55% of my income comes from my gifts. Writing being inclusive.
And not your profession.
And not the things that I studied in college. Nearly 55% comes from my gift. And that's why I felt it is important for me. I could have, or my parents could have let me lean into that natural gift and that natural talent. But the problem is that they could not see a path for it. You see, the only path that was available for people who are gifted in writing is journalism. You know, writing articles in newspapers, and they were thinking that that's not necessarily a good career. But writing is not just about journalism. There is a lot of things, there's a lot of professions in the writing industry. I can set up a writing company actually that can serve writing needs for people, maybe proposals or books, ghostwriting or poems and whatever. I can actually teach kids to learn how to hone their writing skills from a young age. A friend of mine is actually doing that. I can write books for children. I can write books for very many people. What I'm saying is that that gift and that talent should have been honed earlier. But like the Chinese say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time to plant a tree is today. That's why I am leaning into this gift like nobody's business and going on with it, making sure that I'm profiting from it.
It doesn't matter how much time you've lost. You've lost.
Yes.
What matters is you identifying, recognizing the gift now. So the moment you recognize it, you start immediately.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to open your eyes. At some moment in time, you've got to open your eyes, and increasingly, it's becoming easy for people to start leaning into this thing that I'm talking about. Earlier on, when we were growing up, the path weren't there. These days, if you go to Google and you just Google something called gig economy, G-I-G economy, you find that there's very many references. They are telling people that organizations such like Google, IBM, Apple are no longer requiring people to have degrees to work for them, which means that the environment has started changing a little bit to accommodate very many people. But the gig economy is up to an individual to identify where you're passionate, identify where you're gifted, identify where you're talented, and lean into it, become competent, become a virtuoso with it, and find a way that it can start connecting with problems that are there on earth. If joblessness is a problem, how can you solve it with your gift and with your talent? How can you look at this, they call them the SDGs. How can you look at the SDGs? Where does your gift and talent fit into the SDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, and so on and so forth? But I think the path is open as we speak, and increasingly is, actually I saw an article the other day that says that 40% by the year 20-something, 40% of jobs in the United States of America are going to be in the gig economy, not the formal employment economy. And it's actually true. They tell us that Uganda, for example, is the most entrepreneurial country. Is it in the world or in Africa? What does that tell you? It tells you that the gig economy is something that we need to focus on. Very many kids come out of universities every single year to the tune of nearly 100,000 every year, faithfully. Where do they go? If we just disciple them to go into the formal employment, we're doing them a great disservice. Some of them are gifted, seriously gifted with very many things. Some of them have very many good ideas. Those ideas should be channeled into the gig economy. Whatever they are passionate about, whatever they are knowledgeable about, whatever they want to do, I think it's time we started leaning more into them. This thing of forgetting the gifts and the talents that people have and thinking that there is no path for monetizing it, I think it should start stopping. And that's why some of us are here. We're preaching this gospel, we're writing books about it, we are coaching people about it, we're having online courses about it, and it's actually happening.
Wow, this is so interesting. And We are taking a short commercial break, but when we come back, we are continuing. And most importantly, how do you recognize your gift? How do you recognize your talent? That is where we are starting from shortly as we come back.
With 200 million people aged between 15 and 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world. This can either be an opportunity or a ticking time bomb. At Young and Flourishing Hub, we seek to turn these numbers into an opportunity for Africa to become a global leader. Join us every Monday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on Church of Uganda Family TV as we take you through the discussion of different topics that will enable you to become world-class leaders and mentors, grow your finances, and become world-class innovators. Young and Flourishing, transforming Africa.
Wow, it is a pleasure. You're still watching Church of Uganda Family TV, and the program you're watching is Ask the CEO, brought to you by Young and Flourishing Foundation. And of course, I'm sitting in for our one and only brother Sabiti Apollo, who is unwell, but we pray that God's healing hand will heal you, and next time you'll be here fine and free from disease. Yeah, we are delighted that this evening we are with Mr. Namale Lawrence, who is the CEO and the founder of the Life Signatures. And this is an interesting conversation. So before the break, there is something you talked about opening our eyes wide so we can see. And now we want you to take us through how someone can open their eyes wide and how they can identify or recognize the gifts and talents that are naturally in them.
Yeah. So Miles Monroe is famed to have said that God hid your purpose in a place where he knows you cannot miss it, which is within you. I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no human being who was created to come and just occupy space above the earth, and then when they die, they occupy space beneath the earth. I do believe that God is not a cruel God. God is someone who created people for a purpose and for a reason. And he put people's uniqueness and people's abilities inside of them so that they can be able to function on purpose. That's why there are people who can be able to write. There are those ones who can be able to read news. There are those ones who are able to do sports because of their capacities, because of their uniqueness. So if you wanted to find out who you are in terms of your purpose, I do believe the very first thing that you need to do, is to make a decision. That I am deciding today, I want to know what I am born to do. If you don't make the decision, if you do not decide, that purpose doesn't show up arbitrarily. People normally want to do it like, Moses with a burning bush. God showing up and telling you, oh, Lawrence, I've selected you to do this. That happens in very small circumstances that are exceptional, like now delivering children from Egypt to Canaan. But it doesn't happen on a daily basis, and yet there are 7 billion people on the face of the earth. It happens when we decide that there is something inside of me, there is a reason as to why I was born, and I must find it. So you make a decision that I want to know why I am here. The thing that I can tell you is this, that as long as you're not asking questions, prodding you, prodding God, prodding the environment.
Questions like, why me? Why is this happening to me?
No. Those ones are disempowering questions. Questions like, why was I born? What can I do? What am I good at? What am I bad at? What brings me pleasure? What brings me joy? What transformation do I want to see? What contribution can I make in this world? When I am 75, actually we normally tell people to write the obituary right now. When I am 75, or when I'm dying, or when people are burying me, what do I want them to say about me that I did? And so we open our minds up and we become as daring as possible to start welcoming these possibilities. Let me tell you something. 1 out of 1 knows or has a hint of what their purpose in life is, or where their gifts and where their talents are. The only problem is that they don't sit down to ask those right questions, that they don't decide.
We end up asking the contrary.
We end up asking disempowering questions. Why was I born black? Why was I born in Africa? Why?
I wish I was an American.
Exactly. And those questions do not unearth your purpose. They do not unearth the essence of your being. So every single person must make a decision. And then after you make a decision, you go on a journey. Again, let me say this. The journey of purpose is not an event. It is a process. You can't discover your purpose by, just having it done like this. It is a process. Why is it a process? Because you need to grow in the process, and then you need to own the purpose itself. Remember the story in the Bible of two women, the first case that Solomon judged?
Yes.
One woman sleeps on the baby and kills the baby, exchanges the babies, takes the other baby. And now when Solomon is given this opportunity to make a decision about the baby, he says, cut the baby into two. The mother of the baby has compassion of the baby because she owns the baby. She went through the process of getting the baby, and she carried the baby for 9 months. If I came and
She knows the pain.
She knows the pain. If I came and I just told you, by the way, your papa is A, B, C, and D, and you were not involved in it, you are not involved in discovering it, you're not involved in the inquest, you will take it for granted. You will not own it. So go into the process of discovering what your purpose is. If you're going to recruit a coach or a mentor, do the same. Do it. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Decide. The second thing is go on an inquest. And then the third thing,
you should be part of this discovery.
Yes. The third thing that you need to do, because every time you ask a question, you're going to get an answer. If you go to Google right now and ask, how can I make $1 million? You're going to get very many answers.
Yes.
The same thing, if you ask questions about your purpose, you're going to get answers. Now, when you get these answers, the third thing that you need to do is to be a steward of those answers that you've gotten. Understanding that those answers that you have are not fruits. They are seeds that need to be planted. So for example, Lawrence discovers that, wait a minute, I am very good with words. I am very good with people. What does Lawrence do? He looks around how he can be able to steward that gift or that talent or that idea that he has. And he's going to double down on it and let it start to grow. That's why sometimes you find some people who had a degree in management information systems or something like that, they discover, wait a minute, I am very good with people. So they go and they do a course that helps them to become better with people. They take a course, for example, in coaching that helps them to draw the best out of people. That is what stewardship is all about. Being true to who you are by training yourself that way. So you are not stuck in doing things that are not necessarily what you're called to do. So that's stewardship. But then when you keep on stewarding, you become finer, better, excellent. You become a virtuoso. You become the go-to person. For example, if right now they mentioned the name of leadership. Who do you think is the best leadership coach in the country? Your mind will go to someone who has been exemplifying that.
Yeah.
They have been a good steward of that gift. You understand?
Yeah.
You're not going to say, you're not going to have a name of just about anyone. It's going to be a name of someone who has been a good steward. So as you become a good steward, you're going to get to a place where we call it convergence. Convergence means that you come to this aha moment that tells you that for me, for the rest of my life, I am going to be doing this. This is my niche. If it's leadership, it's leadership. If it's purpose development, it's purpose development. If it's building universities, it's building universities. If it's education, it's education. That is what convergence is all about. Convergence doesn't come out of the blue.
Yeah.
It comes from you being a good steward of the things that have been opened up to you when you did your inquest. But then once the convergence has come, this is where people normally write their vision down. This is my purpose statement. This is my vision statement. Those ones are not just words that you put on paper. This is your mission statement that you're supposed to be. When you wake up in the morning, your feet are hitting the bed, the ground from the bed, you know what your mission in life is. It is that vision that you wrote down.
It's the first thing that comes into your mind.
It's the first thing that comes into your mind, the last thing that comes to your mind when you're going to sleep. What do you do with it? You now do what we call ownership. In other words, in ownership, you start exemplifying very many things. And the quickest way I can tell people, the quickest way to do ownership is social media. When you go to your social media pages, what do I see?
Memes.
Do I see what your purpose is? If I scroll down your any social media page of yours, if I scroll down for 10 seconds, am I going to see your purpose? Am I going to see what you are about? Because social media has given us an opportunity to market every one of ourselves. And if you're to market yourself, that is what ownership is all about. If I go to your social media, I will see a brief description. He guides people into discovering legacies, or he guides people into leadership. He adds value to organizations. That is you owning it. In other words, you double down on your purpose so much so that if anyone mentions leadership, if you're a leadership practitioner, your name comes up. Or if your name comes up, your purpose comes up also. That is what ownership is all about. Today, hopefully, if the name Lawrence Namale is mentioned in this country, people will start talking about purpose. Because he is the guy who has been a steward in that area, has written books about it, has courses about it, he's helping people on a daily basis about it, he's writing about it, he's talking about it, he's even on family TV talking about purpose.
Yes.
That is part of the ownership of your purpose. But then, not just do you need to own that thing. This is now where the rubber meets the road. You're supposed to make a profit. I do believe, my friend, that everyone is supposed to make a profit from what their gift and what their talent is. At some point in time, turn this passion, this vision, this mission, turn it into a business. And the very place where you need to start turning it into a business is to create products.
How?
Because even before we can go to the how, your purpose, remember, purpose is for the benefit of other people.
Yes.
It is not for your benefit. It's for the transformation, contribution, impact of other people.
Yes.
The way people are going to interact with my purpose is through products and services
That I offer.
that I offer. So if my purpose is to inspire hope and enrich lives worldwide, it is to guide people to discovering, owning, and deploying their purpose. What is the products that I'm going to make out of that purpose? Number one, I'm going to create a book which explains what purpose is. I'm just giving an example. Not everyone is going to create books, but I need to have a book. Number two, I'm going to have an online course, which I already have, and people are going to interact. If people are going to discover their purpose, they will need a course, and so that course helps them. And then number three, I'm going to create as many other things as possible, but I'm saying that products and services are the ones that someone is supposed to use to make money. Making money out of your purpose is not something that you should be guilty about. I think it's something that God needs because of the thing of value exchange. God created this world so that we can be able to maximize the seeds that is put here and the environment that is put here to create value. And then when you offer that value, it is exchanged, either in like, or either in kind, or in monetary wise. So you cannot monetize your purpose, you cannot make money and make a profit out of your purpose without products and without services. So someone who has discovered what their purpose is, they need to go on a retreat, on a strategic retreat, and find out what products can I be able to create out of it. But even before they can even create those products, you asked earlier on, how do they create the products? First of all is to find out where is my passion, my gift, my capacity, my talent, where is it meeting with the problems that are on the face of the earth? If my gift is writing, where are writing problems? Wherever you find a problem intersecting with a gift or a talent, that's where a product comes from. It can be a school. You can build a school for teaching kids how to write. It can be a business that helps people who do not know how to write and do not have time to write, but they want books to be done. You create a service called ghostwriting, for example. You create another service for editing books. You create a service for publishing books and so on, because that is where your gift is. You find where a problem is and create a product out of it. But then you should also be very particular about the kinds of people that you think you were sent to deliver. Because purpose is about delivery. Purpose is about delivering people. The biggest organizations on the face of the earth today are into delivering people. Apple is one of the most profitable organizations on the face of the earth. What do? They deliver people from the problem of communication. People who are in the industry of technology and so on and so forth, what do? They deliver people from mundane things, monotonous things, and a lot of hard work without rest. That's where the practitioner of purpose is supposed to do. Make sure that you find the people that you are called to deliver. You're not called to deliver everyone. Not everyone is your market. So that's why we normally tell people, sit down and do what they call niching. Niching is to exclude as many people as possible and focus on a small core. Now it seems like it's counterintuitive because people normally feel like if I remove very many people, whom am I going to be left with? That's the same thing as when you go to employment and you ask, what can you do? And you say anything. You are belittling yourself. But when you say, I am a practitioner of purpose, my work is to help people to discover, to own, and deploy their purpose. Nothing more, nothing less. It means that now people start Googling in their minds, looking at who can benefit from that man's work. And every time there is someone who needs, or even an institution who needs a practitioner in that area, your name comes up. And the issue is that even as you niche down, you find that this small group of people that you're helping are not just in your country. They are scattered all over the countries, all over the world. That's why you become a go-to person worldwide as far as that is concerned. So create products, find out who you're called to serve, and start serving them excellently. But then there is one thing that is absolutely critical. And this one I'll tell you, this is one of the biggest reasons as to why people don't pursue their purpose. You know why?
No.
Because it is as if you go to work today, if I employ you, at the end of the month you are absolutely 100% sure you're going to get paid.
Yes.
With purpose, you are not sure you're going to get paid. So the other step that you need to take is to endure, to stay with it. Let me tell you a story as to why.
This is so challenging.
Yeah, it is very challenging.
Yes.
Because like you said earlier, remember you said earlier that there are very many things you've got to do.
Yes.
You have to put food on the table and so on and so forth. But you need to find a way that you stay with this purpose. Let me tell you a story that is personal and it's very heartbreaking. I remember I told you that I discovered my purpose in 2010.
Yes.
In 2011, an idea came to me, and by the way, one of the ways of monetizing your passion and your purpose, or turning purpose to profit, is to look at ideas. And ideas are going to come on the way that you are passionate about. So one of the things that I was passionate about was coaching people, and I started coaching people. I discovered every time I am through with a client, they will say, I wish someone taught me these things earlier. And it was nearly 99% of everyone I was coaching. And that thing struck me, and I said, what am I going to do about this? I said, if this continues, the kids who are being born today, 20 years from now, they're going to give us the same feedback. If we have to find a solution to this, we have to go to the kids. Instead of coaching these adults who are now in their 30s, 50s, and so on, let us start coaching the children. I was unmarried at that moment in time as I was envisioning this idea, conceiving this idea. I wrote that idea down. Not only did I write the idea down, I also wrote a book, 110,000 words. Actually, those are 2 books. 110,000 words. The book was called Permission for Greatness. My friend Bakutana, if he's watching, he knows.
He must be watching.
The book has not been published as we speak because of the point I'm talking about. The point of enduring, staying with it, because it's not going to pay you on the first day of asking. Now, I even created a curriculum, a homeschool learning curriculum out of that particular idea. And I put it on the back burner. Why? Because I went and I talked to one of my mentors, and they told me, but Lawrence, you're not even married. You don't even have a child. You don't have the authority to train kids or to disciple kids from the home. yeah, grow up a little bit, and you wait and some time. And I listened to them, unfortunately. I put that idea on the back burner. Fast forward, 2019. What happens in the world? COVID. COVID sends every child home, right?
Yeah.
Parents are stuck with their kids at home. What are they going to do with the kids? Meanwhile, there's a man who had an idea, how many years back? 9 years back or 8 years back, about creating a curriculum, a homeschool mentoring curriculum for those kids. What did he do with it? He dumped it because it was not paying. I'm deriving this point that for purpose for profit takes at least 10 years. If you're going to go into profiting from your purpose, find a way of being an enduring soul for at least 10 years.
Because I think the problem we have is that we have a lot of expectations. Now that I can identify my purpose, and then I'll start drawing plans and a lot of expectations within the first month or within the first week of identifying this purpose. And when I realize a month or two this purpose is not yielding, then maybe I think I'm pursuing a wrong purpose.
Yeah, that is now the biggest problem, because purpose is actually in the uncertain world. We feel it. Actually, the evidence of your purpose is not in the world itself. It is actually in your heart. That's why you can have an idea. And one of the things about purpose is that it is normally very early, before the world recognizes it. If you look at the trajectory of how Facebook has grown, I mean, there was a time Facebook was a non-entity. Until the world starts growing, they have endured some years. If you look at, there's a book called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes.
Leonardo da Vinci had plans, can you believe it, for helicopters. Those years before the world can even understand what a helicopter is and how it's going to work. My point is that when you discover your purpose, for the most part, it might not make sense to the world right now. That's why you need to be absolutely enduring with it. Stay with it, stick with it. Keep testing it with the world and keep receiving feedback. Don't stay with it like I did and put it in the back burner like I did. Keep pushing it out there in the world. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing. The more you keep pushing, the more people are getting sensitized. Like you said earlier on, that we need to be sensitized as far as purpose to profit is concerned. We need to understand that we can be able to make money as we make a contribution and as we make an impact in this world with our purpose, starting from where our purpose is. It might be a weird thing, like drawing or like singing, whatever it is. The other day, Zoom, we use Zoom today, is like a buzzword.
Yeah.
Before COVID-19, who knew Zoom?
No.
Nobody knew Zoom. Imagine if Zoom had given up because they were not making money. Let me tell you another bad story, sad story. There's an organization long ago, I can't remember which year, but it was during the internet bubble. Internet has just come up and so on. The only problem is that we did not have broadband technology about that time. This organization created an idea of video streaming and so on and so forth. They gave up on it. The next year, guess who came up? YouTube. The very next year that this organization gave up, YouTube came up. And YouTube has taken over the space of video streaming and so on and so forth. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry every single year. It's actually making millionaires. My point is that don't be so impatient with your purpose, and at the same time, don't be so comfortable with waiting for the 10 years to pass. Right? Don't be so comfortable to wait that it's going to mature in 10 years. Every year, like I told you earlier on, every day you've got to say that there's got to be something we can be able to do with this thing. I mean, you've got to be unsettled. Yes, be patient, but also be unsettled. That's the paradox. Balance those two things. Be unsettled and be patient at the same time. At the end of the day,
don't disguise patience. Don't disguise comfort
Yes.
With patience.
Yes. Don't be lazy and just say, I'm being patient for my purpose. No.
I'm waiting for the 10 years to come, like Mr.
Every day, push it. And actually, one of the things that I've learned, and I'm learning it from a friend of mine who has set up an organization in Bukoto, the only sales institute in the country, actually, by an individual. The only sales institute actually in East, Central, and Southern Africa, by an individual, not by an institution, by an individual. It is that this man pushes. He knows this is my purpose. He knows that there is no evidence that it's going to work, but every day he pushes. He pushes. Even if it's not making money, there will be days, by the way, there will be very many days where your purpose is not going to make money. In fact, as we speak, there are very many things I'm doing with my purpose that are actually expenses. I am spending more than I'm making. And in fact, I'm not making money out of it. But I'm spending every month. I have to pay for hosting fees. I have to pay for this. I know that this is something that I am passionate about, and it's making an impact, it's making a contribution. At some point in time, either the universe or the organization or the people will feel it or will decipher it, or I'll just have a tweak in my mind that says, hey, wait a minute, what if you do this? What if you do that? As long as I am with it, as long as I keep going with it, a way will be found out.
Wow. Mr. Namale, in a minute or two, what are your parting shots on this particular topic of the purpose to profit?
I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, that I think every one of us has a purpose. Every one of us. In fact, I do know that every one of us has a purpose. And I think God has put us here on the face of the earth to make a contribution, to make an impact. And even as we make a contribution and to make an impact, we get paid from it. And we make it as massive as possible. So I will tell you this. I don't know what you're gifted at. I don't know what you're good at. I don't know what you're passionate with. I don't know what ideas you have. In there, that is where the seed for your profit is. Start looking there. Start working there. Start turning it upside down. Start making yourself compact and start making yourself competent with it. Start following it. Be owning it on a daily basis, and make sure that you don't leave it on the ground. That's where your profit is, I do believe.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Namale Lawrence, the CEO of Life Signatures. And we are delighted. I believe that this has been a triggering conversation. And from now up to tomorrow, your life might be having a transformation. You might have picked up, or you might be thinking of how you open up your mind to see what your vision is. It has been a pleasure having you on this show, Ask the CEO. And Edrine Austin Mukalazi is my name, sitting in for Apollo Sabiti. And we believe that, next Thursday he'll be here with us. And as Church of Uganda Family TV, our purpose is to enrich lives. And this is the way, this is the exact way we do it, bringing you people who educate you, who inspire you, who encourage you, but most of all, who open your mind up so that you can see what you've not been seeing. Or maybe you have been blind somewhere, somehow, but your eyes are being unleashed. Your eyes are being opened. I've worked with Jonah Jal, the producer, today, and Bantam in transmission. Have yourselves a good night. God bless you.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.